I was punished by missing vacations and birthdays for years after his brother falsely accused me of stealing. When they did manage to get a video of him, my parents just confiscated his phone. I'm a man, 23 years old. My parents are 54 years old and 53 years old. I am the middle kid and have a 25-year-old sister and a 19-year-old brother. I've had very little contact with my family for the past 5 years as a result of my dad's belongings missing from his room around the time I turned 15. His pocket knife collection is full of various knives that he has acquired from all across the United States. Some of them are rather expensive. Some of these undoubtedly fetch a few hundred, but they're not worth several grand or anything. In addition, he possesses an assortment of baseball cards and signed baseballs. These stuff would vanish from his room and end up in my room, and each time I got punished for it, and each time was more harsh than the last. For 3 years, despite my repeated pleas of innocence to my close family, they all saw me as a thief. I had no party for my 17th birthday and lost out on a few of vacations. Didn't have a car or driver's license until after I moved out. And except from prior birthdays and odd jobs around my area, I had no employment and no ability to save money. My parents used to tell me how much of a disappointment I was, and that they wouldn't be shocked if I turned up as a robbery suspect or worse on the local news. My extended family had the same opinion of me and wasn't much assistance either. It came to the point where I honestly questioned whether I was stealing and just wasn't remembering it, whether it was because I was having a mental breakdown or was stealing while asleep, or something else entirely. This week my mother called me earlier. After realizing that his belongings were once again going missing when I wasn't there, my dad eventually had the brilliant idea to install cameras in the hallway. That's when he saw my brother stealing items and placing them in my sister's former room. After telling me about it, Mom stated that she and my dad were sorry I didn't think I was telling the truth, and they would love to have me over for dinner on her birthday to catch up. When I asked her how she intended to punish my brother, she seemed unsure of herself. I questioned her once again and reminded her that I had to forfeit my 16th birthday, many vacations, and my driver's license. She claimed that my dad had taken his video games for a month and his phone for a week. I lost it on her and yelled at them for treating me so badly while I was the one being falsely accused of stealing, and all they had taken was his phone. I immediately told them to go feck themselves, and that I would not be going to any more gatherings with them. I blocked her number and hung up. My sister called me later to let me know that although I was right to be furious, my mother was distraught and had shut herself in our parents' bedroom. AITA? I believe the op need to let his sister know that the brother was attempting to harm her in the same way. To accuse her of stealing and punish her. Which was an even stranger decision considering that I neglected to mention that she left that house about a year after I did. What, commenter? Sorry, I'm not following. Your sibling? Attempted to accuse your sister of stealing, even though she wasn't inside the house. Yes, that was a really foolish and stupid thing for him to do. I have no idea what the commenter was thinking. Info, please elaborate on your brother's story. When you were a teenager and he was in grades 9 through 11, how did you two get along? Prior to anything happening. Now, what is he doing? Is he attending a university or college? Is he employed somewhere? Is he only a sultan? As far as I know, is enrolled in college. More than anything, what surprised me was that our relationship was never at all terrible. Commenter, I'm not sure I get it. I assumed that his phone had been taken away by his parents as a punishment. This is done to a youngster, a high school student, or anyone under the age of 18 who is still enrolled in high school. As far as I know, he resides at home for free. It's completely absurd and a bulge. First update while I write this, my sister, who I'll refer to as T for short, contacted me an hour ago and apologized for what she had told me. Since I moved out, we've become quite close, and she has a history of owning up to her mistakes and offering an apology. I have no animosity against her. Regarding my parents, T says that my mother experienced a sudden realization one night. After they were able to get my brother Jay to admit to doing this for years, she ultimately kicked him out of the house. Mom informed T that he had been relocated to my granddad's house, where he would now have to find employment, pay rent, and cover his own tuition. My dad and her had a falling out over this at first, but she helped him see how much he was destroying our family. Then my dad contacted me and cried all over the phone, assuring me that I don't have to see them ever again and that they would understand completely, but they would also welcome the opportunity to put things right and repair the harm they had caused. He said he would give me the money I owed on my debts plus an additional $5,000 to retain. I told him I will give it some thought, but it could take some time. I hung up after accepting his apologies, even though I still haven't forgiven them both. I live about 2 hours away from my parents and more than 3 hours away from T, so she is unaware that we have stayed in touch. T also told me that my parents were considering selling some of their belongings and working extra hours at each of their jobs to surprise me with a brand new car. I realize this may sound harsh, but I would prefer not to accept a car or any further funds from them since, in the first place, A. Everything I already own was acquired by my own labor, and B. It seems like a lazy approach to make amends to just purchase your child's adoration back. As far as the matter goes, I did unblock my mom, but I will not be starting interaction until she or my dad messages first. In addition, they chastised my brother and apologized to me on Facebook, so at least my extended family is aware of what transpired. I have nothing else to report at this time, but I may update if something else occurs. Commenter, comments where the OP has responded, "It's good that they want to make apologies and that they now realize you were set up. But they do not deserve your forgiveness, nor do they have a right to a relationship with you. Start slowly if you decide to give them a chance. Regaining your trust requires time and effort on their part. Give it some thought as to what rules and guidelines you should set in order to feel at ease getting back in touch with them. For instance, they should accept your decision if you don't want to visit your brother, or if you don't want them to talk about your life with him, in light of everything your brother has put everyone through. Inform them of your plans for what will happen if they fail to respect that limit. Wishing you luck. I don't think we'll be able to make a complete reconciliation since, despite their apologies, it seems more like they're sorry for their own guilt than for having offended me. We're currently navigating a challenging situation in our household following a fight. Emotions are running high, and I need to process everything before making decisions that could change our family dynamic. To give some background, my husband had a daughter in his early 20s with his ex-girlfriend. Their relationship was tumultuous, filled with fighting and emotional abuse, which led to their split just before their daughter was born. Throughout the years, he's been open about his regrets regarding the situation and has consistently paid child support, but he never had the opportunity to build a relationship with her. Her mother kept him at arm's length and actively discouraged any contact. Now, my husband and I have our own children. He matured a lot since those days, but when our first child was born, his ex sought more child support, arguing he could afford it since he had a new family. Last year, during a phone call, their daughter lashed out, calling him a deadbeat and expressing her hatred for him. Recently, everything changed. His daughter, now 13, told a teacher that she was being abused at home, prompting Child Protective Services (CPS) to intervene. The situation escalated when her mother vanished, leaving CPS looking for a safe place for her to go. They reached out to us, but my husband initially wanted to decline, feeling unprepared and overwhelmed by the idea of taking her in, especially since he has little to no relationship with her. I couldn't accept that. This child has already been through so much abandonment and now a potential rejection from the only family she has left. I firmly believe she deserves stability, not to be tossed into the foster system. We needed to come together as a family and support her. In the midst of our discussions, my husband expressed feeling guilty for not doing more over the years. He panicked when faced with the reality of the situation, fearing that if he didn't step up, his daughter would be lost in a system that could do more harm than good. After some intense conversations, we began to align on our responsibilities. We agreed to take legal custody of her, but she won't be living with us right away. Instead, we're looking into an inpatient therapy clinic to help her start the healing process. My husband is taking a leave from work to ensure he can be there for her as she navigates this tumultuous time. We're committed to providing her with therapy, legal support, and financial stability, including a college fund. We understand she may never see us as family, and that's okay. Our goal is to be her safety net, respecting her autonomy while ensuring she has the help she needs. We're also starting family therapy to prepare our children for the changes that will come as their dad takes on this new role. I know this journey won't be easy, but we're dedicated to making it work. I'm hopeful that with time we can provide her the support she desperately needs and perhaps find a way to connect as a family, no matter how distant that may feel right now.